Flosstube, it's Jen, also known as Quirks and Stitches. I am so sorry that it has been so long since I filmed last. I think I filmed before StitchCon, and then I did that short little blurb about 24 hours, but my intention was to film. Life gets busy sometimes, and I'm sorry. I did not intend for that to happen. So actually, in all honesty, I filmed last week, and I did a whole StitchCon recap, and then I did all of my stuff, and it was like this stressful thing, because I was like, Brandon, should I film? Should I have it all be in one video? What should I do? And he was like, I think they should be separate videos. And I was like, I'm going to do it all together. And so I did. And I got finished, and then I was like, this is stupid. I went to StitchCon with my mom. Why am I filming a recap without her? And we had a really busy month, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but it was just like, this is really dumb. So then it was like, well, should we just splice out the StitchCon recap and use my stitching update? But then I wasn't sure how much I talked about StitchCon, and it was really long-winded, and I was just like, no, I'm not going to. At this point, I'm so close to the end of the month. Let me get through some of my challenges. Let me get through the stuff I'm stitching so that I can just have a huge pile to show you. So hold tight, because today is going to be a lot of whips that I'm going to go through, and you're going to see a good portion of what I've got in my whip baskets. I have been doing some organizing. For those of you that saw on Instagram, I am posting now the 24-hour of cross-stitch printables. I decided I wanted to have a place for people that aren't on Facebook. So Brandon and I had been talking about what we were going to do. I don't know if I said it, but Brandon was right about the video thing. That was totally, he had the right call. I was wrong. I should have listened to him. That is my admission. He is in the computer room right there, probably listening to me, and maybe not. I think he sometimes tunes me out when I do this. Anyway, I should have listened. So there's just a lot, and I have so much, guys. My table, I say this a lot, that my table is full, but really there is just so much sitting around on my table. I tried to have, I have lists, I have my books, I have everything, just because it's pretty much been an entire month. But I'm off track again. So I was saying that I wanted a place to post some 24-hour printables and things like that. And we'd been talking about where that place should be. And I realized, why am I not utilizing my blog? I've had a blog since 2016, and it sometimes has cross-stitch things on it, or it's all crafty. There's only 5 posts, because I get all gung-ho about doing it, and then I don't do it. My follow through sometimes is awful. So I decided, let me use my blog to do this. So I figured out Google Docs, which is new to me, and they are up on my website. So I'm going to link that below. I'm working on making just a page for 24 hours of cross stitch. Right now it's just the most recent blog post. That could change though, because I am planning to post today on my blog. So I'm working on getting a page there. So if you are a 24-hour of cross-stitch person that is not part of the Facebook group, because you're not on Facebook, you don't like groups, I don't know what else, other reasons there could be, but the printables are accessible to you, and this way you don't have to wait for me to read my email and get back to you and do all that kind of stuff, because I'm not always most timely with that. I try. It's just, I don't love Gmail on my phone, and then attaching documents isn't the easiest, and then I have to pull out my computer, and probably mostly coffee. I'm trying to get this done. My mom and dad are at church, and then Brandon and I are going to eat breakfast, because we bought things to make for breakfast, so I have to finish this before a reasonable breakfast time. Today is Sunday, July 28th, for those of you that, for anyone, I'm going to upload this today, but you stop doing these in a regular, form, and then I get all over the place. So, my blog is going to be updated. It is quirksandstitches.blogspot.com. I have been updating some things. I really like the use of pages, not just blog posts, because I'm a list writer. I like to have everything organized by list. So right now I've got a page up for my Stitch 9 challenge, so you can kind of see where I am at with them. They have fallen off the bandwagon, and I have a lot to finish before the end of the year, but maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. I'm still, I think I counted. So like I went through, because I have these gadgets on the side of my blog that lists, they used to list my current rotation, which was really funny to read because I had forgotten that I even made a rotation. And I had this whole like rotation seasonal plan that I was going to do, where I wanted my mom to make me maybe 6 project bags so that only the ones I was currently working on needed a project bag. Sorry, Mom. I like the way we ended up doing the project bags a lot better, but you know, oh well. So it's just it's pretty funny to go back and read how I'm like, this is gonna fix my cross stitch solutions, and I don't know, you guys see it in my whip wall. I was all gung ho that was gonna fix how I worked on my whips, and it hasn't been updated in I don't know how long. We went on a trip this month, and I don't know if I should do like the month chronologically or how I should talk about the month, but this mug that says there's probably mostly coffee was purchased at Toxic Brewing Company in Dayton, because we were making a trip to Indianapolis. So we stopped and got some beer on the way down, and then we stopped and got some beer at this place on the way back. If you're in Dayton or anywhere near it, I'm just going to plug them right now. Toxic Brewing Company. They were awesome. They had like all these pepper beers, which my mom's a huge fan of and I really like. Brandon not so much, but they had stuff he really liked. They had some good stouts. And then the bartender was awesome. Like we were talking to him when we were leaving, and we were like, we're going to get some merch because we always try to buy like a koozie and a sticker, and he threw in like 10 stickers. We got a like bottle opener that Brand can put in his wallet. We got we filled a growler. We did a couple cans. It was a great spot, and they had this like drunken waffles that they were serving with them. So if beer's your thing and you happen to be near Ohio, I would recommend Toxic Brewing, or Toxic Brew Company. Our new goal. This is our other new goal. We're gonna try to get to all the breweries in Ohio. We'll see. We did a weekend of that in Pennsylvania, and we hit like 10 breweries in a weekend, and that was too much. So we're gonna like not try to like overload ourselves, but we're gonna try to do this. This is not a beer blog. This is cross stitch. One thing that I've noticed is a lot of people make their own like pages on Instagram that is just like for their cross stitch or for their thing. I don't do that. I'm sorry if that's the only reason why you want to see me on Instagram, but Instagram is pretty much my life. And I said that from day one. Facebook used to be just for like those people that like knew me in real life and like I went to school with, or I used to work with, or like I taught. Now all my students found me then once I wasn't their teacher anymore, because I know I'm not doing that when I'm your teacher. But I made Instagram because I was like, my Facebook people don't care about seeing my cross stitch and like pictures of every single thing I'm doing, so I'm gonna use it for Instagram and just do it for myself. And then started people, you know, I found the community on Instagram, which I love, but I post everything. I do have like when I'm actually cooking, I have a separate Instagram for like clean eats and things like that, which lately, since the only things I know how to cook are tacos and frozen appetizers, has not been updated very much. But maybe eventually. That's my new goal. Other new goal. Doesn't really coincide well with the beer journeys, though. So, but if you're on Instagram, you see my whole life, which is me saying I'm going to sometimes on here talk about beer or talk about what else I'm doing in my life. So, mostly going to be cross stitch on here, though, I think. That's the most interesting part of my life. At least I think you guys agree. So, July. July was a very busy month for me. Not only was there a lot of stitching going on, but we did some traveling. We did some, trips and things like that. So we got back from StitchCon, and we had a really, really busy week that first week. We got back on Sunday. There will be a StitchCon. I'm looking at my calendar right now, so if I'm looking down, that's why. There will be a StitchCon recap video that my mom and I are going to do when she gets back from church. So I will be posting both videos today, just because I feel like there's a lot of content in both, and I don't want to rush through either. So by now, our StitchCon recap is so late that I'm really hoping we don't forget things. I will just say that I had a fantastic time. And being able to meet people in the stitching community in real life and like put faces to names and just great time. So, but you can check out my StitchCon recap video for that. We got home, and then that first week, Brandon and I were like off doing a ton of stuff. I think we ended up having like a date night on Wednesday because Spider-Man came out. So we ended up going into like our nearby town, Sandusky, and did dinner and we went to this really cool taco place and then watched the movie. So, and then Friday we met up with Laura and Joe at Slavic Farms. They both cross stitch, and Laura they live, I don't know, maybe like an hour and a half from us. We've met up with them before. We had done fireworks in Vermilion over the Fish Festival of the Fish. I don't know, something like that. There were fireworks. It was fun. And so we met them there because Joe also stitches, so we wanted to connect Brandon and him. So they're great people. You should check out her Flosstube. I will link it below. She also dyes fabrics. So if you're looking for hand-dyed fabrics and things, she is got a business with that and with making project bags. So definitely check her out. We went and met up with them at Paper Moon, which was is still currently a vineyard. And so we had some wine and we just like had a chill night out, which was really nice. Like I said, we've struggled with meeting people in Ohio just because with Brandon working from the house and me being in between things, we don't know how to meet people. Maybe we're both a little socially awkward, possibly. If you met me at StitchCon, you know that's true. So we went there and did that, and that was so much fun. They are running a retreat too. I wanted to make sure that I mention this. They're doing a retreat. It's in Cleveland. It's called the Lakeshore Retreat. There is a group on Facebook. I will also link that below. And it is April 3rd through 4th of 2020. We are signed up to go. You have to stay at the hotel that it's in. So if you're local to Cleveland, just know that you still have to get a room. It's part of the contract. And it's going to be like a smaller retreat. I'm so excited. The venue looks really nice. It's right now, like we had stayed in Cleveland. I don't know, Brandon and I we were supposed to go to Philadelphia, and then we didn't end up making that trip. So we decided just to take a night away. So we hit Cleveland and did some things there. And it's like right in the same neighborhood that we stayed in then, and I'm really excited. So if you're local or not local and want to travel in, it is April 3rd through 4th. Like I said, I will link the group, and I hope to be able to stitch with some of you guys there. I'm really excited because Brandon's going to come too. So he'll probably bring games as well, because stitching doesn't always hold his interest quite as long as it holds mine. Video gaming doesn't hold my interest quite as long as it holds its, though, so can't say anything. So that was Friday night, and that was the 5th. And then on the 6th, it was Craft Gallery's 4th of July sale. Yeah, because there was the 4th of July thrown in there because 4th of July. And so we end up, no, I did that Friday morning. That's right. This is why I need to keep like a log that isn't just, like this is just all my stitching for the month. So I'm trying to like, oh, what did I do that day that wasn't stitching? That's right. We did this on the 5th before I met up with Laura and Joe. We went to Craft Gallery because they were having their 4th of July sale, which they do awesome sales. Craft Gallery is a shop in Findlay. It is what I would consider my LNS. It's about 45 minutes from my house. Paula and Carlton, they're fantastic. Like, they were probably one of the reasons why I felt so welcome in this community. They just kind of, they didn't view me when I walked in as and put any oh, you're not a stitcher or anything like that. And they just have been incredibly welcoming. And the shop is incredible. The fabric that they have, I'm just moving my phone out of the way. The fabric they have is outstanding. They have just unbelievable amounts of stuff. So when they have a sale, it's really cool. Their whole back room, they set out all this. They have their pre-cut fabrics, because normally their fabrics aren't pre-cut. And you can just get them cut to size or just buy the whole yard like I do a lot. And then they're like, oh, we have this much of this fabric. How much do you want? I said, all of it. Most of the time, that's what I do. But they have all this stuff out, and then they have, it's all 50% off then the pre-cut fabrics. And then they had a whole bunch of just 10-cent patterns So I went through, I pulled some of them out. It's really hard because I have all my haul like in one pile and I don't remember what I got where. And I think these were all in the like the 10-cent thing. So I picked up Needles and Oceans, the coverlet collage, yeah. Haunting. I got these little JBW things, Halloween ornaments. I think there's another one of these somewhere because I think I got 1, 2, and 3. These summer lineup by the Trilogy. Willow Tree. I've picked up a lot of stuff from the Heart lately. Before this, I'd only stitched her bird stuff. I have one of them in my whips right now. But there's like this little bird series, and so I had done the blackbird and the bluebird and the cardinal, and I'm doing the goldfinch right now. And then there's one more. Got this one. Sorry, that's kind of the pattern, but that's how they sold it. Didn't mean to do anything I wasn't supposed to show. So pick those things up. And then the rest of their stuff is usually, most of it, not all of it, but most of it is 20% off. So I picked up this one. And I picked up this because I've had my eye on this for a really long time, and I was like, it's Blackbird. I'm just getting it before I can because it's Blackbird, and sometimes that happens. So we did that, and that was fun. And yes, then I'm going to talk about what I did this month. Then we'll talk about what I stitched this month. Right? Is that okay? If not, you can speed up to when I show stitching. We also hit, I don't know when that was, the Crafty U does a stitching night, which I think that might have been that Saturday, the 6th. Don't quote me. But I decided Brandon has never been to like a stitching gathering, so I was like, well, I've never been to Crafty U's. Let's try it. You know, we're free for the day. We might as well go and see what's happening. And yeah, so you sign up, and you kind of reserve a spot to stitch for the day. And Crafty is closer to Cleveland, so it was about, how long was it, Brand? Oh, this is, I was going to say this is proof that he doesn't listen to me. It was maybe like an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half. I don't even think it was that long. But we went out there and we stopped at a brewing company. We stopped at, what the name of it is. That's gonna bug me. But we stopped at a place that had beer, and we got appetizers, and I was wearing my 24 hours of cross stitch shirt, and so we go in and we get a high top, and we're sitting and we're going to order, and some lady is looking at me across the table, and she goes, I like your shirt. And I was like, oh, thank you. Okay, thanks. And I'm like, I get awkward because that's what I do. And I'm like, no, I just got home from StitchCon. I'm better about talking to people. Let me go and talk to her and see what she, see if she stitches. And so I go over and I go, I mention the shirt and I say, oh, are you a cross stitcher? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So we start talking. So she had never heard of Flosstube, so I let her know about that and like the Instagram community. She had been to the shop in Vermilion, I think, but not the one in, not Crafty U. And so we were just talking about cross stitch stuff, and it was so neat to like actually meet somebody that stitches that wasn't aware of this part of the community, to kind of be able to share it with her. I think that's how I want to phrase that. Maybe. Yeah. So that was really fun. It was neat. And then we ended up going to Crafty U. There were a couple ladies there that had been that come to the craft gallery stitch-ins that I had been going to. So, but it was a really nice night. It was Brandon's first, like I said, and being a male stitcher, he gets more attention because it's a little more rare. But he did really good. They do a show and tell, which I've never done before. So we had to we went around and shared what we've been stitching on and things like that. And, he was first, and so it was really cute. It was fun. So we did that, and it was a nice night, and really we got to talk to the shop owner, and we picked up some more patterns because why not? So we picked up, again, I'm not showing everything we get because we'll be here forever. This one, it's a calico I don't read words that I don't necessarily. Yeah. Mind Your Own Beeswax. We have a joke with a friend about a line from The Happening, which is an awful movie, but it's one we own, because there's this whole, what about the bees? And it just, this, I'm going to change this to say, what about the bees? And I might mail one to the guy that bought our house because he was in on that joke. And then Brandon liked, I think he liked this one, The Three Little Pigs. And because they had this one sitting next to it, we also picked up Little Red Riding Hood. And I got another one that I will show you in my stack of stitching because it's with that, even though I haven't started it yet. So we went to Crafty You. Then we're going to jump forward, and on the 19th, so Brandon got an invite to demo games at GenCon. It's a big, huge board game convention out in Indianapolis. And him and I had been talking about going. It was going to be like our vacation for the year, and we were going to get badges and go. But then I knew that I was going to have this job, and I wasn't sure when I was starting, and I'm thinking this is probably going to line up right with when I was going to start. And pretty early on into my knowing that I had the job, they had messaged me and said that there was a conference in Florida that they wanted to send me to. And it was going to like overlap. And so I was like, well, I can't commit to going to GenCon. So, you can go, and if you can find somebody that you want to go with, that'd be great. Well, that didn't really pan out. So he, and he didn't want to really go by himself. Reasonable. I understand that. There's going to be a ton of people there. But Pandasaurus Games, which is a board game company, they demo games there, and they have like a table set up, and they had put out through their social media sites that they were looking for people and volunteers to demo. And so he was like, well, I might as well try, you get a badge, he gets to go then, and he gets some games and stuff too, which is awesome. And it's a game company we really like. So he was like, we'll see, why not? So he put it in and then didn't hear anything back for a while. And then there was all this other stuff that happened, but I'm not going to go into that. But when he did hear back that he was going to go. And so he comes upstairs and he's all excited and he's like, I get to go to GenCon. But I just looked at hotels and they're like almost $2,000 for me to get a hotel to stay. And I'm like, oh goodness, that's insane. So I kind of put it out there because I was like, well, maybe we know somebody, even people from Philly that are coming and going, because I know some of my friends are going. Maybe I can find somebody that he can stay with and he can still get to go. And Kia and Nathan messaged me. Kia runs a Flosstube. She is, I'm blanking on the name of their channel, Quilting in the Hive. But she's Kia B and he's Tech Guy in the Hive. And she messaged me and she's like, we live like 20 minutes from the convention center. We'd love to host you guys. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I met you at StitchCon. You guys were awesome. And like people referred them to watch my channel because Nathan and Brandon are very similar. And so I was like, this is the ideal situation because Brandon would feel totally comfortable with these people even though he hasn't met them, and he was like, well, Jen, I think I might need to like meet them first. Like this is really awesome, but like I'm a little nervous to just like go and stay at somebody's house that I haven't met. So I was like, okay, let's see if we can arrange a meetup. So it's like 4 hours from where we are, which isn't bad for a weekend. So we ended up making the trip, and we that Friday the 19th we drove out. No, we did it Saturday morning. We left Saturday morning, not Friday. We got some stuff together and we stopped in Dayton at brewery, and then we went to their house, and it was just the most like delightful time. Like it was incredible. I'm skipping. I did something before that day, but I'll come back to it after I talk about our weekend in Indianapolis. We went out and they have like the sweetest house. It's like adorable. Their guest room is all board games, which was like, perfect for us. So it was so much fun. We got to go, like we hit a couple restaurants. We got to like meet their kids who were so much fun. And then we just hung out and like talked stitching and talked it was Key and Nathan, you guys are awesome. Like, it was so much fun. So we stayed overnight. You know, Brandon got the lay of the land. I had to explain I wouldn't be coming back for GenCon, even though I really wish I would. And, you know, just incredible. So he is heading out next week to go to GenCon, and gonna be able to stay with them and see them again. And I'm super jealous because I don't get to go. But yeah, just this community. Overwhelmed all the time. You guys are incredible. So we did that. Thursday before that, it was the third Thursday at Craft Gallery. Guys, I've been busy in July. Like, it isn't even just that I, like, and I had all this stitching that I had to do because I go all in on my challenges and other challenges and all the things. The third Thursday, I had heard from Linda Jo, Pretty Southern, that she was going to be traveling from Cincinnati to Detroit. And so she had messaged me and asked if I wanted to meet up. How far was I away from Detroit? Could we meet up somewhere along the way? And so I was so excited because Linda Jo is just incredible. And she was the first person that, like, kind of reached out and sent me anything off of here. No, one of the first. She sent me that awesome beer project bag, and just, you know, blew me away with that. And, you know, we've gone back and forth with things. So I was like, yes, let's do dinner. And then I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking, well, it's third Thursday. Like, it hadn't occurred to me because the 18th seems early for third Thursday at Craft Gallery. So as it was getting closer, I knew my car was going to be in the shop. So, you know, I was like, can my mom come with? Can we both meet you? Because we're both, like, we'd love to, like, give you a hug. You are, like, the inspiration for our project bags. And the reason why we do half the things we do now. And so it ended up that she was planning on going to Craft Gallery that day anyway, you know, because she was driving through and she'd never been to that part of town. So I was like, well, we were planning to be there too. Why don't we just meet up there? So we did. So it was so nice to be able to meet her. She vlogs about it in her video that was up after, closer to when it happened, because I'm behind in everything. But it was really nice. We stitched for a while. She got to see the shop. She got to meet Paul and Carlton and all the other people. Candy ended up coming, Candy Stitches. And so she just bought a new pattern like she does every time she goes instead of bringing her whips. I don't know why. And I'm really glad you support, but what are you doing? Like, you have so many. I'm one to talk. But you bought a big one. I'm excited to see your progress on that, though. She bought Autumn and Hawker and Hollow. I'm excited. I love stitching that one. So we stitched for a while, and then we went to Finley Brewing Company and got beer and some food. And it was just really, really nice to be able to, like, actually hug Linda Jo. That was great. So it's just been, I'm telling you, a busy month full of lots of people, lots of things, lots and lots of stitching. I think that gets me pretty caught up to what's been going on. We got back from Indianapolis, spent the last week finishing up my challenges, because I start work tomorrow. Monday, the 29th of July, Jen is at work. And so I start work on Monday, and then I work all week, and I fly to Florida on Saturday. So, and then I will fly back to here on Wednesday. I don't know what that means for 24 hours. I don't know if I don't know if I'm technically working I don't know if I work that Friday or not. So, because the marathon is the following weekend. So, I may be starting late to the game. You might not see me do, like, a kickoff stuff this time, depending on what my work schedule is, because I don't know. And I think that's why this month I really tried to get as much stitching in as I could, especially when I finally got the start date for work. Ohio clearances just take 1,000 years. And because I was coming from out of state, it, I think, took longer for them to make sure that I wasn't a criminal. But I got it. So I start Monday. So, you know, I just tried to get through everything that I could. I went all in with my challenges this month. I had my acrostic challenge. I had the holiday challenge. For those of you, the acrostic challenge is it was Team 2-4 Hour, and it's for 24 hours. I don't get anything for doing these. I just like to stitch them. And then the holiday calendar, which stitches here. This was my plan, which I'm going to talk. I'll show everything I did. I made holidays for each. Well, I didn't make them. I found them. They're actual holidays for the month of July. And then challenge people to stitch a connection piece for at least 24 minutes or 120 stitches for at least 12 of the holidays out of the month. Yeah, I decided to do them all. So there was a lot of stitching and a lot of project jumping, but I go back and forth on if I like project jumping or if I'm like, well, I should just work on one thing and get it finished. I have to say I'm really craving some finishes right now, and I'm not seeing as many as I'd like. So I don't know what my plan for August is. I'm trying to kind of go into August with the less of a plan, because then I won't feel so upset if I can't meet it and make my goals. If I have less goals, maybe. Yeah, it's just, I think the unknowns with what my schedule is going to be, and that I'll have some more answers this week that I can go through and kind of figure some stuff out. And then knowing I'm starting the month with traveling, I don't know. I can't take 10 projects on a plane with me. So I just have not decided what it's going to look like yet. So July was chock full, though. I joined in a bunch of sales. I started using the hashtag join all the sales because that's kind of just what I wanted to do this month. And it started day one. So Diana was, or no, we'll get to Diana. Diana was doing Christmas in July because her birthday, it's her half birthday month because her birthday is in December and people are generally set on Christmas stitching by then. So she wanted something that people would be able to join in with. So I was like, okay, I want to join in, but I can't start anything new. So I tied her sale into things I was already had going on. And I tried to tie it into my holiday calendar stitching if I could. But Olivia and Deborah, Olivia is Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, and Deborah is Canopied Stitches. They put out that they were doing Birds of the Feather, Sally Spencer Sal, starting July 1st. And it didn't matter if you had started it already, or if it was a new start, or if it was, one you were finishing up. Well, I had started mine during Madness this year. Madness is my Stitch Mania. This is Sally Spencer. I do my Stitch Mania in March. I also did Mania this year, but I do 31 projects, 31 different designers, and new start every day. So I had started this one. This was my Birds of the Feather start. And so I decided I am part of Cheryl's Tranquil Stitches group that does, her focus is 30 minutes a day on projects. I did it last month, and I was using HL's Moth as my 30-minute a day piece. I got to finish on that. It's in the StitchCon recap video, so you can check that out and see that. But I decided I wanted the Sally Spencer to be my 30-minute a day July thing. So I've been working on this. I have missed a few days. I time myself for 30 minutes. I set a timer, and I stitch. And once the timer goes off, I will finish the thread if it's been threaded. Sometimes I cheat, and if I know the timer is about to go off, I will thread the needle so that I can still finish. But I don't stitch for more than, I think my highest day was 40 minutes. Because, yeah. So I've gotten a decent amount done on this. I'm stitching this on 40 count legacy. And I am using the called for colors except for the white. In the pattern, it is called to be buttermilk. Yeah, buttermilk. I had it, but because I'm using legacy, it blended into the fabric way too much. So I decided I changed it just to natural. It's a natural silk by Dinky Dyes. It's Dinky Dyes, and it's just called natural. So it's much whiter than what the buttermilk was going to be, but you can see it better. I am taking, I forget who did it. One of the Sals that did this before, there's all these initials that go on the outside of it. They asked people that were stitching it with them, and they put their initials around the side instead of I I don't know what the initials were supposed to be, but I don't have a very large extended family and extended family and things like that. So I didn't want to do like family initials. So I took that idea because I loved it. And it's totally not mine, totally not an original thought. It was whoever has run this before. So I am asking if you are stitching this as part of the Birds of a Feather Sally Spencer thing that I forgot to write the hashtag down for. I think I have it written down in here. Yeah, BOF Sally Summer Stitching is the hashtag on Instagram. So if you're doing that, I'd love to have your initials. And so I've put it out on my Instagram, but even if you're just like, it's currently a whip in your pile and you're going to be stitching it at some point, that's fine. If you're doing this in 2019, send me your initials and I'll put them on my piece. So that was my daily 30. I also joined in, talked about the Christmas in July. The 2nd of July, I'm going to wait a minute to talk about that. Hold on. Not going to talk about that yet. Let's talk about... Or I could just sit here awkwardly and not talk about anything for a while. Diana over at It Is Kismet, she had a lot going on this month. She put out a new freebie that her and Michelle Bendy designed, which is it's a nod to Mr. Rogers, because who doesn't love Mr. Rogers? That is my childhood. And also just a very way to encourage people in this community or in any community. So it's just a little pattern. I'm sure you've seen it. It's called It's You I Like. And so it's just little, I butchered mine. I did it on a 40 count. I think it's Bramble by Picture This Plus. And I used Rusty Amber by Thread Gatherer. I had it left over from Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow. And then I wanted to use the piece of fabric for something else, so I cut it, and I cut it crooked, and I don't know if I left enough allowance to finish this or do anything. If you finish things and know what I can do with this, since I killed down here, tell me. I mean, it's a really quick stitch. I love the idea behind it. It's just so nice to be able to send this out into our stitching community that you're part of it. It's you that, yeah. I love it. And just the self, it's okay to like me. It's okay for me to be okay with me. And it's not just okay, I should be, it's just love the thought behind it. And it's on her blog, or her Flosstube. You can get the pattern there. I will link her below. Again, her and our Bendy Stitchy put it out. So I encourage you to check that out. I actually had some Happy Mail this month too. And, got my own. So Danielle, Curvy Stitcher, she sent me this little pillow, which I love. It was so special to get this in the mail. And so it was her first pillow. Guys, check this out. First pillow? Are you kidding me? It has her initials and the date. It's being set prominently in my stitching spot. So, encourage you to check out this pattern because it's awesome. And it's really special when you get one in the mail. So, sorry for the coughing. Talking about Danielle, though. Danielle and I both were given copies of Amos Fig, which is this pattern. It is a Plum Street Samplers. And we've been talking back and forth about doing a sal with it. We decided we need to, and we want to extend it to some other people. This one, if you don't have this one, though, we wanted to open it up to not just doing Amos Fig, but we've decided we're going to start this. We're giving it lots of prep. We're going to start it October 31st. Let me take a sip of coffee. It is actually all coffee today, I promise. We're going to start it October 31st. It's going to be the Day of the Dead Sal. No, it's not. We talked about doing Day of the Dead Sal. It's Return to Dust Sal. Day of the Dead Sal already had stuff going on it, so we wanted to try to make it something different. Returned to Dust Sal is what we're going to be doing, and we are encouraging you, if you have a piece that's got a tombstone or is a Mourning Sampler or any way that you can kind of connect it to you know, those sorts of things. We want this to be inclusive. We want anybody that wants to join in to be able to join in. October 31st, we're starting it on Day of the Dead. Return to Dust, Sal. We'd love to have you join in with me. I will be posting more details as it gets closer, but I am so excited to stitch this. I ordered fabric from Leslie at Under the Sea Fabric because I wanted to try her 46 count and her 55 count. And so I'm thinking, I don't remember what colors I got, but I'm really hoping one of them will work for this. And I'm probably going to change the colors and make it a little more muted. I talked about this before. I have Amos and I have Tilly. Amos was my first car that was totaled on its 6th birthday. And Tilly was my grandmother. Not my dad's dog. That was Tippy. I remembered. But they're similar. You know, same letter name, you know, same letters, whatever. We'd love to have you join in with us. So that is happening in October. I was going to join in with another Sal because it was Join All the Sals month for me. But I did not get it out. It's the Birds of the Feather Sal. I'm sorry. I kept saying I was going to do it on Instagram and it just did not happen. So that is what has been happening this month. I now have to show you the massive piles of stitching that I have inside of me of things that I have stitched. I decided for my acrostic, we'll do the acrostic first because that's my biggie. My acrostic this month, I was doing 1,200 stitches for each letter, and I wanted to pick a new, well, I didn't want to pick a new piece, but Heather, Imperfectly Perfect Stitcher, she was doing a birthday Sal too. This is the other Sal I did that I said I would talk about later. And she was doing this. A peacock, a unicorn, and a badger. And I have loved this piece for a really long time. And it is one that I did not have in my stash and was trying to justify buying and didn't have a reason to. And then Heather said, I'm going to start this on my birthday, which is July 2nd. Does anybody want to join in? And I said, yes, I do. And I also, it was my, hey, I got a job pattern that I bought. So I ordered this and I love it. It is totally not something that is usually my style. It is a full coverage piece because all of the background is stitched in green. And I toyed around with it. I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to stitch it on a green fabric so I don't have to do all the cover, the fill in? Or am I going to actually do it? And I decided I wanted to actually do it. So I'm doing it. And I did all my acrostic. So T was for Tree of Life because there is a Tree of Life in the pattern. E was for 18th century because it is a reproduction of a sampler from the 18th century. A is the A in the scarlet letter logo. M, this one was kind of many animals. I probably could have figured out a better M for that one. 2 was 29 different colors. 4 is 40 count fabric. H, happy birthday, Heather. O, there were owls on my project bag, which I will show you in a minute. U is because of the unicorn. And R is because it is a reproduction sampler. So, goal was 1,200 stitches on each letter. Get it done. I loved every stitch. I'll show you that in a minute, but first I'm going to show you my project bag because Amelia, TNX Stitcher, found me at StitchCon and gave me 2 project bags, one for me and one for my mom. This is my mom's. I stole it. I had permission to steal it. I did. I got permission. It is phenomenal. Like, it is the coolest project bag. So there are owls. See, there's owls there. But look, there's a unicorn. And there's a little badger wearing a scarf. It's perfect. It's like, this is, yes, absolutely. I was like, I have to use this one, Mom. So she was like, sure, you can. My hair's doing something, but I don't like it. You can use that. So, Amelia, thank you. I have a Star Wars one too. I'm gonna show them in my StitchCon recap video. Isn't that bag awesome? It like really is incredible. So, over 12,000 stitches in on this in July. so you can see I made my way all the way down to the side, the bottom, and I love it. I'm using, I don't even know what fabric it is. It's actually one that my mama had. I'm using the DMC, not the silk. And I'm really happy. I know, like, I like less coverage than some people do. I really am really thrilled with the coverage on this. Because you can still tell that they're X's. And I like to tell that. I don't like the too, like, puffy of stitches for me. So, and I was so nervous about the fill-in here. It's really, like, nice mindless stitching. Like, it's really, and it's soothing. I don't know. I really like it. So my goal is, I'm trying not to fill around a motif until it's all stitched. So, like, up here in the bird, I still have to do this. So I'm not going to fill over here with the color until I get that finished, so I remember to go back and do it. That's kind of, because there's a lot of color jumping, and I need to get one of those, what are they, Bitsy Bobs? I have to do that. That's, like, next on my thing to do. I went all the way down the side. I do this. I know, I think I've talked about it before, but when I'm stitching in hand, I like to roll my fabric. So, like, if I'm going to be working over here, I'll hold it like this and just roll it. And I find that the fabric rolls wonky if you don't have the whole thing stitched along the side. So I usually try to stitch along the left side so that then when I roll it, it's all, like, nice and the same thing. So I'm going down the left side, going to try to kind of go like that. I'm trying not to just do, like, pages so that, like, colors and flosses and ending and random spots and whatnot. I love it. It's on Instagram under hashtag #IPSBirthdaySal. I'll link the hashtag below as well. 1,200 stitches all on that, and it was just, like, I don't think I've had something that I've worked on that consistently and enjoyed as much as I have. I forgot a couple other things that I'm going to go back to show you before I talk about other thing. I did get some more Happy Mail this month. Glenn over at Southern Stitcher, she sent over my gnome hat for next year. I don't think I should probably put it on my head right now, but I will. So I'm all set for Gnome Day stitching next year. My mom has one too, so be joining in. I think that's June 16th. I don't remember. Not 16th, June 21st. So we'll be doing that again next year with the Gnome Day stuff. I did some other stitching this month that was unrelated to the holiday calendar, but I think I'll show that last. And let's talk about this challenges that I did with this holiday calendar that was, like, insane. Let's just put those there. And if I get to them, I get to them. If I don't, and you're already checked out at this point, that is fine. Here's my... I do this every time. I'm so organized and then I misplace things. Okay. The holiday calendar. The goal was to stitch for 24 minutes a day. I should have put a table out. To stitch for 24 minutes a day or 120 stitches a day and link them to the holidays that I found for July. I went ahead at the beginning of the month and I, like, decided what things I thought I would stitch on. I changed them. I didn't do all of them the same. All of the 24-hour challenges, if you're new to this, they can overlap. So things that you were doing for your cross stitch could also go for your holidays. There was also a challenge just to stitch for 24 hours during the month and track that. I was tracking that as well, and I was way over, like, after the first week. So, maybe not the first week. I don't know. I'm way over. I don't have the total calculated right now. I will at some point calculate. But there was some stitching I did that I didn't track time for too. Because my timers got messed up. I don't like it when that happens. It, like, makes me feel like it was all a waste and I didn't do it right. So I tried, for the most part, when I was doing a holiday thing, if I could connect it to a SAL or Magical Stitches homework, or Cheryl Tranquil Stitches her challenge group, if I could stitch like it towards their challenges too. I tried to coordinate. So some of the days I stitched for a lot longer on something than the required amount, and some days I stitched just the required amount, and I was doing really good. My goal was to do a different project every day because I'm me and I'm used to madness, and that's how I typically do it. I didn't do that. I did overlap a few days, and for the challenge, if you are not me, like the challenge was just to pick 12 of these, not to do all of them. And the challenge was you could do them on any day you wanted. You didn't have to do it on the day that the holiday it was. I'm just me, and I'm like that little extra step crazy. And so I was like, no, I'm going to do it on the day of the holiday, and I'm going to do all 31. So let's go through, see what I did. The first day was Creative Ice Cream Flavor Day. And so, since it was Christmas in July, I pulled out Christmas cubes, and I figured I would work on the eye block, which is sticky toffee pudding. And so I figured, hey, that would be a good ice cream flavor. I don't know where to put this stuff. So, I started these for Mania. I'm doing each block individually, but consider them as one big project now that Mania is done. So it was not 9 different starts. So I did about 125 stitches on this block, and it's getting close to a finish, but there's some back stitching, and I was done. Was tired, moved on to something else, but joined in with this for Christmas in July. Creative Ice Cream Flavor Day. Number 2 was World UFO Day, and you can take UFO to be a flying object, or in cross-stitch terms, it is an unfinished object. So I decided I would pull out my oldest whip and put some stitches into that. My oldest is Noelle, Joy X Noelle. This was from an episode of The Cross Stitcher. I started this forever ago. I don't even have a start date. I have no idea when I started it. It's really not my style anymore. And so I thought I wasn't going to finish it. But I've decided that I'm going to stitch just the Noelle part, and then I'm going to finish it. My mom's going to finish it into a pillow. So this is my last video. If there's one upside in Pandemonium no longer being with us, is I can stitch things and put them into pillows now, because she threw up a lot and now she doesn't. So I feel like I can have stitching like out somewhere that might be in her, and used to have been in her zone. Mayhem eats everything, but she doesn't throw up on everything. Well, she does sometimes too. It's just a cat. That's what cats do. I have this massive piece of fabric because I was going to be finished as that banner. But I have that. I'm started on the E. The O has like a ton of back stitching, and I'm so not excited about doing it because the O, it like forms a heart, and so it's not like straight back stitching. So my mom might help me with that. But I did like 316 stitches just all filling in on this end, and it's still not all filled in because you can like over here still is blank, so all that has to be done. I don't know when this will ever get finished. Someday. The third was Stay Out of the Sun Day. So I thought, hey, when I want to stay out of the sun, I stay home and I play board games. So I pulled out Dead Man's Chess. This started my love for the, whatever this word is, collection. And so I think I'm missing like one. I have to look and list and find. But I think I have the hard to find ones. So thanks to the kindness of all the other stitchers in the world out there. So I worked on this. I put 246 stitches in on it on that day, but I've pulled it out since because I used it for Magical Stitches homework too, where we had to do 1,000 stitches in black. So I've put significantly more in it since I did it for the holiday. But I have the whole grid line of the chessboard in. Sorry, it's like rolled. See how I, when I roll my stuff. And then I have the bottom row of the gravestones and just have the left and the side to go. I had started doing the coloring in here, and I ripped it out because it was really blue. It was like, I forget what color it was called for, but I'm using the DMC, and I want it to be grayer. And so I decided, no, I needed to start that over. I'm stitching this on a 32 count Exemplar by Lakeside Linens. It was supposed to be pearl barley, and I got carried away when I was at Craft Gallery and bought the wrong fabric, but it's full coverage, and there's a lot of 1/1 in it. If you stitch it on 32 count and you finish it with a frame, it's a playable chessboard, which is why I chose 32 count, because that's normally not my sweet spot, especially on with double strands. I don't love the coverage, but I feel like my stitches look messy, and I don't love that, but I'm doing it that way. So, yeah. Got a lot done on that, though. I'm excited. 4th of July was the 4th of July. I pulled out this piece. It's the Land of Freedom sewing box. I started this one over here for Mania, one of my 50 starts, and I got it finished. But I have a question for you. So I did the part of the house here. It was called to be what was it called to be? It was called to be Parchment by Gentle Arts, and I didn't have it. I had Parchment by Weeks Dye Works, and so I used it. But I feel like the coverage is like noticeably different because it's just thinner. Should I redo it? Tell me. It's not that many stitches. I won't be that sad if I have to redo it. Because to me it looks unfinished because it just blends in so much with the house. Or the fabric. The front of the house just, I don't know. I also opted, the pattern has the word America spelled out 1/1. I decided not to do that. I'm new to patriotic stitching. It's new to me. Bikini Day. I pulled out, and this is another one that I go back and forth with every time I work on it. I'm like, I should just give this away because I don't really want to stitch it, but then I'm like, I should just finish it, and I can give it away when that's finished, and I don't have to have it up in my house. Love-hate relationship with Lizzie Kate. Mostly, it's not my style, but I really liked winter and fall in this series, so I have summer and spring and felt like I should stitch them because I did the other two. I don't think I'll ever display these in my house. I like summer better than I like spring. I will say that. But I'm stitching this on a 32 count Legacy. Legacy tends to be one that I go to. I know I can do it. The Legacy and Doubloon I really like. And now Ren. Making my list of Picture This Plus fabrics that I like. So I did about 140 stitches on this. I had started this for Madness last year. And it just doesn't get that much love because unless I have a challenge that makes me pull it out, I really don't like. I'm not like, oh, let me work on that. Love-hate relationship. Again, I've thought about just giving it away, but I don't want to give the patterns away either, so I'll finish it someday. World Kiss Day was the 6th, so I pulled out Crow's Lullaby because it talks about a wedding, and you kiss at weddings. So I love this piece. I started this for Madness. I got a lot done on this because I also used it for some Magical Stitches stuff, so I just kind of went and kept going. I'm doing this on a piece of 32 count Fog by Picture This Plus. This was a piece I picked up at Craft Gallery's Super Bowl sale, not sale. Just using the DMC with this. I read a book this year, Death of Mrs. Westby or something. It was by one of those authors, Girl on the Train, or it wasn't Girl on the Train. I forget who it was by. But they quote that, the saying in it, it was prominent in the book. So I was like, oh, that's kind of fitting that I'm stitching that this year since I read that book. It wasn't my favorite book. It was an okay book, but it wasn't my favorite. I can't even remember who the author was. It's on my Goodreads. Death of Mrs. West something. National Strawberry Day was the 7th. I pulled out Savior's Praise. This was my high tea start for May. Yeah. Because I used, I was going to start, we'll talk about that later, but I used the a Peacock Sal for a Peacock Unicorn and Badger for my high tea. It was just a belated start because I didn't start until that Tuesday. Savior's Praise. I am stitching this on 36 count cedar plank by Lakeside Linens. And I did like 750 stitches on this because I was using it for some other challenge too. I really like it. I was having some trouble because the first day I worked on it, I had to rip out. So it's one of those, you know, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth when you start and have to rip out. But I am enjoying it, and I'm glad I pulled it back out. So, strawberry day because there are strawberries. Well, strawberry Sunday day. Coca-Cola day. I pulled out Bump in the Night because I could use it for another challenge, and I was stitching with 3371, which seems to be the right color to be Coke. Like you drink, not the drug. So I'm getting there on this one. I did make an error in counting on the witch's skirt, so she is about a stitch further down than she should be. But I think so long as I remember that, it shouldn't really matter. Because it's all the different, like, individual, like, things. So as long as I'm not, like, using her skirt to, like, match. I think I made a note on my working copy. And then National No Bra Day was the 9th. I was originally going to do my home is because that's the only place you'll see me without a bra. But I was using it for another one of the days. And you won't see me without a bra. I wear my bra until I go to bed. So I pulled out As the Crow Flies because of all the houses and figured it's safe for me to be braless in my house, in my bedroom at night when no one is here. I started this for Madness 2018. And I also use this for Magical Stitches. I'm really trying to get through the Ultimate Stitching Challenge if you're part of Magical Stitches because I want to do the Extreme. So I have 2 more. I have like 1.5 of the Ultimate to do. And I think I'm going to finish them today. My goal is to finish them before August. We'll see. Because I want to be able to work on Extreme when I'm in Florida. So I got a bunch done on this. As the Crow Flies, I'm stitching this on 32 count lamb's wool. I struggle. I don't love, it's like, it hurts my fingers. I really have to like kind of punch and stab it. But I'll finish it. DMC, it's Prairie Schooler. The 10th was Don't Step on a Bee Day. And so I originally had something else, one of my big projects with bees in it. And then I was like, you know what? If I can eke some finishes out with these too, I need to. Like, I have all those Mania starts. So I had pulled this one out, which was ABC by Lizzie Kate. And this is where I talk about my love-hate relationship. I really like this one. And Michelle, Day After Michelle, she had loaned me this pattern because I was one short for Mania where I was doing the 50 starts. And she was like, well, this is 51 by 22 or something. You could, change it, eliminate a row and it could be under 50 and you could do it for Mania. And I was like, okay, thank you. So I have to get this back to her because she had like the whole kit and stuff. So I did this on, I think it's Fog. I think it's the same piece I was doing for Crow's Lullaby. So it's like a 32 count. And I subbed colors. And I got a finish on it. And oh no, that was a sad moment. All of my stuff fell over because there's still a huge pile of things I have to show you. I combined this, there was a space in the original pattern and I moved it up. And it was originally supposed to be stitched with that purple that this heart, or the Quaker star thing surrounding the heart is supposed to be stitched in. But because I moved it up and it was touching the flowers, I did it with green and now it's grass. So, yay. Got a finish on that one. And it was super cute. I didn't use the beads. Michelle was like, can I have the beads for this? And I was like, absolutely. I'm not a bead person anyway. So I just used the color to fill in where the beads were supposed to go. Please pause. And we're back. Picked my patterns up. Drank some coffee. I'm not exactly sure how I managed to do this. This video, I believe, is going to be longer than the video I originally did where I talked StitchCon and the video. Judging by the pile of stitching I still have to show and other things I still want to talk about. Somebody commented that they really like my long videos. So, you're welcome. Cheer Up the Lonely Day. I pulled out Cross Stitch Nation because I feel like you guys have done that for me. This move was challenging and You've been my community when the days have been fairly lonely, so thank you. So I pulled out Cross Stitch Nation. This was another start for Madness 2018. 40 count legacy. DMC. No, not DMC. I'm doing specialty threads with this. I lied. Or I'm doing the called for. Hand dyed fancy floss. I'm really liking it. I stopped it on Madness, and I think I only got like they're done last year. So it was fun to get to the people. I did like the wrong color for a bunch of stuff, so I had to rip it out. But I'm liking it. So I got about that was another one I was doing for Ultimate Stitching, so I got 1,000 stitches in on that. Simplicity Day. This is where I pulled out Home Is. Can we take a minute and just talk about how creepy that is? Like, I don't understand why it's there. This is a pattern I never would have bought by the pattern picture. I saw it stitched at Crafty U and loved it on the wall and pulled it out and was like, really? That's what I like just sat and why am I so out of focus? That I really liked. And then I just don't understand the baby. Like and in my working copy where it's photographed, like scanned, it's like super scary. I'm going to pause right now and ask you guys a question. So we've talked a lot about like pattern storage and things like that. You can see I haven't done my video yet, and this is why. I keep my patterns. There's some down there. The ones that are in the binders are my working copies that I already have prepped. And then on the other side of me, there are like magazine holders that hold my patterns. They're there. They're all over the place right now. But when I get a pattern, I typically scan it and I keep it organized on my computer, all in files. And I mean, I do that because it's easier to me than going and having to get the copy machine working and print it out, because I always work with a working copy. Always. So I scan them and keep them organized there, because then I can track and I have them all like tagged and labeled on my computer that says, you know, if it's a work in progress, if it's something I'm going to be finishing later, all of that. So I've done that for all of my patterns, and I have a lot. Like they're all organized in folders by designer. I have like 144 folders of designers that I'm doing, you know, that I have, because I have a lot of patterns. And I'm struggling because my scan quality is lacking lately, and it used to not be a problem. I don't know what happened. I scan for PDF, I scan high quality, but now when I'm printing them out, I'm not getting it crisp enough. Whereas if I just go make a copy, it's much crisper. I'm going to preface this. The scans are just mine. I don't send them to anyone. They are only for me. I'm not like putting them up to distribute or anything like that. You know, they are my scans, working copies of patterns that are in my house. So I then found and heard, so I don't know if it's my scanner. Do I need a better scanner now? Or what scanning things do you guys use? Especially those of you that are like stitching on your iPads and scanning for that. Because I downloaded the phone one where you take a picture. I can't get them straight. I don't know if I'm just too shaky or what. But if you guys have any tips on how to get these to be a better quality that isn't going to take 10 years for the scan to happen, I'd appreciate it. Done rant. Baby's creepy. I am stitching this on a piece of 40 count Confederate Gray by Weeks Dye Works. I started this for Simplicity Day because it says Live Simply at the bottom. I did this piece on Madness 2019, and I started it on a day something about, and my holiday ended up being wrong, because I also do the holiday thing for Madness. And so it ended up being like awkward day or something. And so I was like, well, it's super awkward that I had the wrong holiday written down. So I'm going to change Live Simply to Live Awkwardly. Because have you met me? The 13th was Embrace Your Geekness Day, so I pulled out the Mysterious Adventure Map. It is a SAL being done by Ink Circles. So it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons meets Choose Your Own Adventure and cross stitch. So I started this. You roll dice. You can kind of flub it if you don't really love your dice roll. This was one of the pieces of fabric I just got at the 4th of July sale at Craft Gallery. This is 40 count Ren. If I picture this plus, I was going to use ale, but I just feel like the Ren looks more parchment-y. So I got a small start on my border. I will be pulling this back out eventually. She released, so you're supposed to have the border done and then you can go and do like the other parts. I'm not a border stitcher, but I'm going to have to do some of it. So, and then there's the coastline has been released, but I got that one in the email and it's like there's this flow chart. It's going to like take some like dedicated, like, what am I doing? And rolling dice and flipping coins, and it's really fun, but I felt like that totally fit for Embrace Your Geekness Day. Shark Awareness Day. Pulled out Get Kraken because there's a big octopus. There must be a shark in the water. I'm stitching this on 40 count sand dune or vintage sand dune. I do not remember which. I'm using the DMC. I love this piece. This was a pattern that I bought for Brandon and then I stole. Sorry. Started that madness 2019. National Give Something Away Day. I pulled out Matter's Choice because I started this. This is my birthday, Sal, this year. Age doesn't matter, Sal. And this is going to Tranquil Stitches when I'm finished with it, though. So because I'm sending this pattern on, I figured it worked to pull out for Give Something Away Day. I'm stitching this on 40 count Autumn Gold. Again, I don't remember if it's vintage or not. I had the whole debacle with thread color. I thought it was a different thread color than the one it is, but I'm running with it. So I'm going to be, I'm getting there, but I'm going to be taking out the alphabet and I'm going to put age doesn't matter and my birthday. So I have to rechart that. The 16th was World Snake Day and the 17th was National Hot Dog Day, and I used the same project for both. 4 different reasons. I used All Creatures, Great and Small by Barbara Anna for both. I'm stitching this on 40 count sand dune as well. Again, don't remember if it's vintage or regular. I think I have both and I don't remember. I'm doing this for World Snake Day because there is a snake on that tree. My mom, when she does the connections like this, she's like, I have to stitch on that actual thing. No, I'm not like that. I have my own rules. That doesn't need to be one that I add. So I got about 200 stitches on it for World Snake Day. And then for National Hot Dog Day, I kept working on it because, please hold. I kept working on it. Oh, how is this folded? Got it. Because it lives in my dachshund bag. And they're hot dogs because of Watson being a dachshund corgi. Boo Moon was pulled out for Sour Candy Day because I didn't know what to stitch. And then I was like, wait, you get candy on Halloween. I can stitch Halloween. So I pulled out. These were all Mania starts except for the cat because the cat I stitched for 24 hours, take 1. And I was like, well, I'll get a finish. And again, I'm trying to get some finishes done. So I pulled it out and I got a finish on the owl. National Sour Candy Day. I also, and I'll show you this one now since I just showed you Boo Moon, yesterday, last couple days, maybe Friday when the power went out, I got a finish on the skeleton one too. Used him for some magical stitches, ultimate stitching. Got a finish. So I think that took me, is that all my finishes for the month? I think so. 5 finishes. They're all small spoke. And I would say I'd take them off my whip wall, but they never got up there, so they're not coming down. Space Exploration Day. I pulled out Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain because of the moon. It's there too. And I used this for ultimate stitching. No, I think just homework. I had to stitch with orange. So I got a lot done on this house. I'm stitching this on 36 count Autumn Gold. And I love it. I did my conversion. Really liking the conversion so far. I converted it to Gentle Arts because I had originally started this for Madness and was doing it on 35 count Mink by R&R with DMC. and I was using 2 strands, and I don't like 2 strands on 35 count, and I wasn't loving it, and it was becoming a chore, so I decided to start over. That is that story. This is where... Oh, and I missed the 19th. The 19th was National Daiquiri Day, and so I used this because there are strawberries. Can't really even see them, but there are strawberries there. And I did stitch on the strawberries. I don't know where it is. That's something else. I'm getting all flustered. I had everything so organized, and then it's like I show things and everything's not where it was. So I did really good. Up through the 19th, I actually stitched on the thing for the holiday. So that's 19 holidays that I did on the holiday. Then we went to Indianapolis, and we saw Kia and Nathan, and I got off track because I was like, I'm not bringing all of these other projects. I don't even know if we're going to have time to stitch. So when I did Space Exploration Day, it was like a catch-up day. I did it sometime this past week. Monkey Day. This was one that I picked up at Craft DU. Not my typical style, but my friend is having a baby, and she's doing a Jungle Book theme in her nursery. So I was like, well, I don't have any Jungle Book, like Disney things. So I'm going to stitch this because it's jungly. So I have not started it yet, but my plan was on Monkey Day, which was the 21st, to start this. I'm hoping to get it started this month. She's due in August. I need to get this to her. But there is a monkey down there with a little banana on his head. Isn't this a cute pattern? I've never seen anything by them. And actually, I will tell you, when I got it home from Craft DU, I have to take... There was another one inside of it by accident, so I'm taking that back to the store. So there somehow 2 came home with me, and I didn't know it until Brandon went to go and get me the floss list, and he's like, Jen, you stole. Didn't steal. I will give it back. It was just in there too. They rung it up. They saw it too. I was not sketchy. Where am I? So I haven't done that yet, but that is my plan. So now a few of these are going to be plans too, and not actual stitching. And the 22nd was National Hammock Day. So I figure I'm going to put some stitches in on And a Forest Grew because hammocks go in between trees, and there's 1,000 trees. This is where I am. I haven't done it yet, but hopefully before July is over, I will put some stitches in on this to get that counted. The 23rd was Hot Enough For You Day, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I thought, oh, I could pull out Summer Alphabet again from Lizzie Kate. You know, need a reason to stitch it, so might as well. But I don't really want to, especially now that it's not the actual holiday. So I'm using Molly because I have her out to be doing Magical Stitches homework with anyway. And because the sun is like blaring down on her, I figure she's got to be pretty warm standing there. I have about 600 stitches to go, and I have the Magical Stitches homework done. She looks a little bit like Wednesday from Addams Family. Molly. I changed her hair color because her hair color was originally charted to be this, and it's like very gray, and I didn't want her to have gray hair even though I have gray hair. And I'm using this for Magical Stitches for the whatever the thing is where they change into animals, because what's that word? No. Yeah. How does it? Animagus something. Because Professor McGonagall turns into a cat, and I feel like that's like her and her cat as a cat. I'll use it. I totally had some of the things wrong for Magical Stitches homework too. It was a whole debacle, but I was able to make it work. So maybe she won't look like Wednesday as much when she has her eyes, or she may look more like Wednesday. I don't know how I didn't realize this before. Maybe once the dress gets filled in, it won't be so. It's fine if it is. I'm not gonna. I just don't look at the pattern and think, oh, that's Wednesday Addams, but I do in the stitching. International Self-Care Day, I did actually stitch on the actual day. I pulled out Life After Death because I just feel like this is a piece that makes me happy when I'm stitching it. So unless I'm stitching the back stitching, and then I'm not happy. I'm stitching this on 40 Count Days Gone by Silk Weaver. And I'm using Storm Clouds. I hate that you cannot tell the color. It is not black. It's like Storm Clouds. It's like greens and blacks and really cool colors. But you focus. But you can't see it when I show it on these. But I started that for Madness 2019. Thread the Needle Day. Pulled out This Is My Happy Place. I had stitched on this a little bit when I was at Kia and Nathan's too, because it was just mindless fill-in. I worked over there. I got the bottom part done. The pattern has like actual buttons on it, and I haven't decided. It has the chart has them charted out to like to stitch them, or you can put buttons in. And so I didn't remember that when I started it, and then I did the button, I stitched there. So I haven't decided if I'm just going to sew buttons over it, or if I want to just do X's and put the buttons in. Thoughts? I'd love to hear them. Thread the Needle Day. Got about 160 stitches. National Coffee Milkshake Day. I pulled out Coffee Bean Sampler by Heartstrings. And I'm stitching this on 36 count Old Mill Java because the name makes me think of coffee and I like the fabric. By R&R. I got about 180 stitches in on this. I don't know what I'm gonna do, so like it's hard to tell, and I don't take things out of the patterns, I'm sorry. I think that's all eyelet stitches, and I'm not gonna do them in eyelets. I don't know, I could probably fit my whole name there, Jen Lee. I don't know if I'm gonna do just Che Lee. Haven't decided. National Dance Day was the 27th, so I pulled out When Skeletons Dance, which also I was using for Magical Stitches, Ultimate Stitching. Got a lot done with Ultimate Stitching this month, guys. And I got the whole to the bottom of the house done. So I've been like periodically filling in this moon that's going to take 1,000 years, and but I went down and got to the bottom of there. But the skeleton is dancing, so National Dance Day. Stitching this on a 40 count exemplar for like 7 minutes. It was a Madness 2018 start. I'm going to have a page on my blog that tells when I started things. Not really for anybody else, but just because I like it. Today is national, or it's not national, it might be national. It's Parents' Day, so I am going to put some stitches in on this one. Because I started this for Madness this year, and I started it on March 26th because it's my parents' anniversary, because their last name is Berenbaum, so it's long, and they have always gone by, well, my mom always went by Mrs. B, and then I did too when I taught. So B's are big for them, and then there's this heart there, and so I'd started it on their anniversary. Focus keeps being funny, I'm sorry. This is where I am. I'm stitching this on 40 count Ren by Picture This Plus, and I'm using the fancy floss. So these are now plans because these holidays haven't happened yet. In Rain Day, I'm going to pull this one out and get some stitches in on it because, again, have to make myself. Has to be a reason I won't just gravitate towards it. I have too many other things that I really like stitching. And that's the thing, is I don't mind stitching them. I just, because I know it's not something I'm going to really want up in my house, I don't know. And again, this one more than, I almost lost all the projects again. Oh. At least they're going that way. There's an umbrella on it, so that's the top of the umbrella. So I'll stitch on this for Rain Day. Friendship Day, I'm gonna pull out Jenny Bean, Friendship Sampler. This is where I am on it. I am using 36 count mellow, something, Picture This Plus. It's kind of yellowy. I'm using the specialty fancy floss colors. And Cotton Candy Day, I'm going to pull out Serenity Harbor because the flowers look like cotton candy. I am stitching this on 40 count lamb's wool. It's a lot of projects. I mean, most of my projects right now are out of their bags. That's a lie. I have 80. I didn't show you 80. I did do some other stitching this month. Where did I put it? I'll pull those out now. we're on a roll. If you want to see some other projects that aren't living in their bags right now. This I pulled out and did some stitches on The Great Pumpkin Conspiracy. I believe this was because Magical Stitches homework. I'm stitching this on 40 Count Luna by Lakeside Linens. Do you guys just remember what fabric you're stitching things on? I do, and I don't know why. Like, it surprises me. I have worked on this maybe twice. And for some, probably because I've written it 10,000 times on one of my lists. This is the reverse of progress. I pulled out Red and the Black when I was at one of the stitch-in days, and I just ripped out. Because I had all that contrast color filled in, and I didn't like the color I picked. So I'm starting from scratch, and I have another color that I pulled for it, but I'm not sure I'm going to like that either. I wasn't going to do orange because the one back there, the first in the series, is stitched with orange as the contrast color, but I'm thinking I may. Maybe I'll do red. Maybe I'll actually do what it wants me to do. Maybe. I worked on Sir William Black. Again, this was another Magical Stitches piece that I pulled out to do some ultimate stitching on. He is being stitched on 40 Count Legacy by Picture This Plus. I stitched Isabel Black for Madness 2018 and finished her as part of my Stitch 9 challenge. He is the companion piece. So I love him, and I want them to be able to be displayed together. So I did pull this piece out too, Skeleton Keys by Not Forgotten Farm, also a start for Madness 2018, and I was going to use it for ultimate stitching, but it was going really slow, and because I'm kind of trying to push through and get all of that done, I just didn't want to take the time, so I got a little bit done. This is 36 Count Maritime White. Why do I remember that? I don't know. I pulled out Winter Cometh. This was, I think, Magical Stitches or Cheryl's Group challenges. DMC on this one. Almost the first 3 panels done. Just a little bit on that second one that I didn't finish because I didn't want to start a whole new thread since I wasn't at the other panel with it. The panel stitching's a little weird. I don't know. I think maybe I would have liked it more on the 40 count. I'm stitching it on like a 30 count. I don't know what this one is, though. And I don't think I worked on this in July. I think I worked on it in June, but Riley Harbor was one of the pieces I pulled out when I was at StitchCon and got a bunch done on, so I will update you on that. It's a Stitch 9 challenge, so I'm hoping to get it done. A few more houses, and then I'm saving the whale for last. That was my stitching for the month. I'm starting something new today because it's high tea. And I don't really need a new start, but I wanted to. And I'm pretty committed to doing the high tea stuff right now. I am, like I said, I really am trying. I think August is going to be focusing on finishes for me. But we're not to August yet, so let's still start things. I am finally doing it. I am starting Let Freedom Ring. I was going to do this in June, and then because I knew I was starting a peacock, unicorn, and a badger, I didn't want to start it in June too. So it's my July high tea start. I was going to do it in June because it was leading up to the July 4th, and then it was going to already be started for the 4th of July. This wasn't going to be finished by the 4th of July, though, so it didn't really matter. I got a piece of fabric at Craft Gallery the other day. I'm going to be stitching it. Oh, it's not. Please hold. I'm going to be stitching it on this 40 count pecan butter by Lakeside Linens. I think the fabrics will, or the floss will look really nice. So I just got the specialty that they call for, the Calico Kitty. I'm going to do it even though I don't love Calico Kitty. I think it'll work for the bricks better than it works for the house. And I'm starting that today with my mom after we film our StitchCon. And now, briefly, if you are still even with me, let's talk August. I don't know, guys. So I released the 24 hours stuff for August. It is, the acrostic is X Stitch Day, because World Cross Stitch Day is August 9th. Yes. Yes, World Cross Stitch Day is August 9th. August 9th is also 24 hours. I don't know when I'm stitching for 24 hours. Emily and Diana, Emily, Eclectic Possessions, and Diana, it is Kismet, are going to be doing this for 24 hours. It is a pattern by, it's the Weaver's Tapestry Band Sampler. It was released as a SAL in 2018. I will link the website below for you to find it. They're starting it. There is the original hashtag that went out for it, and I don't have that in front of me. I'm sorry. I will link it below. So if you're doing this, please feel free to use that. They're going to also be using Wild Ass Sal because it's donkeys. So it's not really swearing if you say ass and you mean donkey. I really want to stitch this. And I nannied for a family in Virginia before I met Brandon. And they had like chickens, and I think they had a goat. See, this it was either a goat or a donkey, and I don't remember which. And whatever one it was, I called it the wrong name in front of the child, and I was like, "Wow, tell me about this animal that's in your yard." And he was like, "That's not the animal," because he was mad at me, and so I was trying to break the tension. And so I was like, "Well, tell me about your goat." And he's like, "That's not a goat, it's a donkey," or "That's not a donkey, it's a goat." So I have this memory of like one of those animals. I think it was probably a goat because I think they used it to like eat the grass. So I would really like to stitch this, and I have my Jen moment story. I used to do that a lot. I used to like flub up words all the time when I talked and taught, and I called humans earth people once in the middle of a lesson and couldn't remember what they were really supposed to be called. I also cannot say the word rhinoceros without thinking about it because I really want there to be more syllables in the word, and I call them rhinocerises if I'm not being careful and actually thinking. I want to stitch this, but I don't know that I want to commit all 24 hours to it for 24 hours. This is my struggle. I'm thinking right now, my plan for 24 hours is it may be a SAL day for me, where I just work on pieces that I've got SALs going on with. So I could be, me and my mom stitching it, so I could do His Eyes on Sparrow, I could do Let Freedom Ring, I could do Peacock, Unicorn and Badger, whatever I'm doing for the Daily 30 I could stitch on. I could do this. I was thinking if I figured 8 things, I could do Matter's Choice. I could do 3 hours on each. I'm leaning towards that. However, I have a word of admonishment, or advice, not admonishment. I don't think that was the right word. Do not do what I did when you print out this pattern, if you would like to join with, that I'm going to link below. Because I just went, and you can go and you can click to print out, because it was released as a weekly SAL. So there were 48 weeks. So I figured, okay, 48 pages, that won't be so bad. Then I just have each line of the SAL on a thing. So I start printing it, and Brandon's in the office because he was working, and I'm like, "Oh, you have to add more paper. Oh, you have to add more paper. Oh. Do you see that? That is all this pattern. Do not do what I did, because it prints out. The border is like 11 pages. And then the each one comes with, it's a free SAL, so I can kind of show you. This, and then the page that tells you about it for each one. So 48 sections is a lot of pages. I was going to do the math real quick in my head, but I was like, I'll be stupid not to say it right. 96 pages, at least. And it's really little. My eyes are old. I don't know. I might have to... There's only 2 colors. You can do whatever you want with the colors. I want to do it. Because the thing is, I don't really want to start more things. I really want August to be finishing things. But I really like events being commemorated with starts. So I'm thinking if I use 24 hours to start this and accomplish other things, that's a good enough reason. Other than that, I think I'm trying for finishes. My problem with that is I don't want to only finish things that I started in May. Like, I don't want to have another February where I'm just trying to catch up from all the smalls that I start. So, I don't know. Oh, and I have a question about SALs. So, do you have to, like, officially join a SAL to be considered doing it? Or can you just, like, hop in at any moment? Or is it different for each SAL that's being run? Because, what was I wondering? There are a bunch of people stitching something that I'm stitching, but I'm not, like, Serenity Harbor. It was a SAL. There is a Facebook group that I'm a member in, but everybody's doing the next one because it wasn't an actual... I'm not doing it when the SAL was released. Could I consider that one of my SALs for my 24-hour SAL jump day? Or does it have to be, like, one that I'm, like... Is it improper etiquette to just jump in on a hashtag for a SAL? Like, I've put out a couple SALs, and it is not improper etiquette. Anybody that wants to start Matters Choice and use Age Doesn't Matter SAL, go for it, because I'm still working on mine, even though I started it February 22nd. These are questions I have. Do you know? Is there an answer? Is that I just don't want to be rude and be like, hi, I'm joining. Hi. I want to be part of the fun. Because I figured I could pull out Birds with a Feather too, because I want to join that SAL. I just haven't had a chance to pull the piece out and work on it. These are my questions. August hopefully finishes. Again, I don't know what work's gonna bring, so I don't know. Aside from knowing my schedule Monday and knowing I'm flying to Florida Saturday, I know very little. And I don't want to overwhelm myself with saying I'm going to do 1,200 stitches on everything and the acrostic. I really want to do the holidays again, but I felt like I enjoyed the holiday a lot more when I was stitching it on the actual holiday. So I don't know. What I'm actually thinking is I'm thinking Friday night for Friday Off the Grid this week. I'm going to try to do the holidays that I'm going to miss when I'm in Florida, so that way I don't feel like I have to take all of those projects with me. And then I'm going to have a piece that maybe I can work on when I'm, like, in the plane, and then a piece when I'm in my hotel room maybe. Also, I'll be in Orlando. Is there anything fun to do in Orlando that's not Disney World? Because I'm not doing that by myself. I've never been. And Brandon would probably kill me if I came home and had gone to it. He had. So this week, start work Monday. Brandon drives to GenCon on Wednesday. I fly to Florida on Saturday. He comes home from GenCon on Sunday. I fly home on Wednesday. I don't do airports real well either. We'll see. So that's what's happening in my world. This has been a really long video. I think one of my longest. Really glad I didn't try to cram StitchCon in here too. I'm going to do StitchCon with my mom though, and then I will get these up today. So I hope that you are enjoying your stitching. I hope that it is bringing you calm like it brings me, even though I'm insane and have way too many things started. All the lists of them will be on my blog though, so feel free to check that out and join in my tracking with me. I'm also going to do a page for our movie chain game. I think I've talked about that before, but we've been doing a lot of our movie chain, and we're up to like 153 movies now in a row over a year's of time. It's been like the most consistent game we've ever played. We ended last night with The Perfect Storm, which I forgot was very depressing. So I felt really bad when that was my choice. But, oh well. I will say that we own a very ridiculous assortment of DVDs, so don't judge me by my movie chain. That is my plan. I would love to see what you guys are stitching. Tell me about what you're doing. I did let you know for the I'm struggling a little bit with 24 hours. It just, I love the community on Facebook. I love everything it's become. But I don't want my Flosstube channel to only be 24-hour things, because I'm not just 24 hours of stitching, and it kind of just became a thing without us really realizing that it was going to become a thing. And I know that there are a lot of people that aren't into it. So, and that's fine. Like, I just want to be able to have a space that I can talk about my stitching. But it's also nice to be able to have a space to explain some of the 24-hour things, because it's easier to explain like this than it is to type. So I don't know. We are taking a little break with 24 hours in the monthly challenges. August, we are not going to be listing giveaways immediately with it. It just was becoming a lot, and we want to give back to this community as much as we can, but with time frames and not knowing how like quickly we were going to be able to be knocking out project bags, like we're still behind for July's. We have the stuff ready to go. It's just there's been so much going on, and with me getting ready and not knowing schedules, I don't want to be promising things I can't fulfill on. So we want to maybe do like surprise acts of kindness and things like that when we have the bags ready. And so we want to still give back, but we're hoping that people understand that. So that being said, I don't want every time I'm filming to only be talking about 24 hours. We love what it has become, but it's not all encompassing of my stitching. So in the same way that I don't like to get on here and be like, well, for Magical Stitches homework this week, I did this. Because there's people that aren't stitching Magical Stitches and don't care, or don't get it. I love it. Love, love, love it. That being said, I think, dropping out of one of my challenge groups. I think I'm getting overwhelmed with as many challenges as I have. So I don't know that I'm leaving the group, but I'm putting a hold on the Stitchy Quest with Lord of the Rings, just because I have to let something kind of take the bottom rank right now, because I'm going to end up burning myself out and not doing anything. So that's one now that I'm doing if I have the availability to do it, but I'm not like killing myself to get them done for now, till I find that balance. So I hope that you are enjoying your stitching. I hope that July has been good to you. I am going to try to be more consistent with this so that we will not continue to have these really long videos. Thank you to the person that really likes the really long videos. Happy stitching, guys.